And of course, it's not just heart disease. Well, I'm a cardiologist. I'm not going to get into details about other things, but diabetes, hypertension, obesity, dementia, autoimmune disorders, different types of cancer, osteoporosis, all these different things. A lot of these are lifestyle related issues that are all treated best by the same approach. It's about 80% of our healthcare spending is for preventable diseases. So why do we let so many people die prematurely? Why? If we know that we can prevent these things, what is the driving force behind why we have not done more to change our food system, to change our whole healthcare system more towards a preventative approach? And I sum it up in 2 words: culture and money. And I've thought hard about this because when I was pissed after watching Forks Over Knives, I'm just like, there's got to be something I'm missing here. Why is it that this is happening? And so when you really think about it, we live in a capitalistic society. And in regards to our healthcare system, even though a lot of healthcare systems are not for profit, they still need to bring in profit to pay their bills and pay their employees and all this stuff. So when you think about a healthcare system, we said 100 years ago, let's design a healthcare system that's based on making money. Well, you're not going to want everybody like this guy, nice and healthy, right? Because there's no money in healthy people. You cannot profit off of them. And guess what? There's no money in dead people either, right? So what the healthcare system just has naturally evolved towards, because it's about profit and making money, is patients who are sick with multiple chronic diseases, needing multiple medicines and doctor visits, surgeries and procedures, admissions to the hospital. And that results in enormous expenses, enormous suffering of good people, and treatments that aren't necessarily optimal. A lot of the pills that we do and the stents and bypasses, which don't treat the cause of the problem, it is messed up. So yeah, when you look at how much we spend, it's going to be nearly $4 trillion supposedly this year in healthcare spending in the United States. And as a percentage of our GDP, the United States towers over all other countries, approaching 20% of our GDP. $4 trillion is healthcare spending. And when you compare that to other countries, it's crazy. It's crazy how little they spend compared to how much we spend as a part of our GDP. Well, you'd think with us spending so much money, we got to be a healthy country, right? Because we spend so much money on it. Absolutely not. Our life expectancy for industrialized nations, according to the World Health Organization, is dead last. It's crazy. So what's going on? We're spending all this money, but we're not living long. And so I really thought hard about my situation growing up, reaching almost 270 pounds. And my sister was 450 pounds in high school. Both my parents were over 300 pounds and diabetic. And I'm like, we just an obese family? What's going on here? What is it really that is the driving force behind how this happens? And I think to myself, was that my fault that I grew up in that way and I ended up gaining all that weight? Was it my sister's fault, my parents' fault? Well, kind of a little bit, obviously. Everybody knows you should be doing the right healthy things. But when you're really born into it, it is hard to really have that realization and that aha moment. It's really hard to make changes for so many different reasons. And so I frequently say it's not all your fault. I mean, yeah, again, a little bit maybe, but I thought that the 5 major things behind why the chronic diseases in the United States are just so profound and so all over the place has to do with our human instinct, number one. And this is something that Dr. Goldhammer and Doug Lisle, the book Pleasure Trap, check it out, phenomenal book. I've learned a lot from a lot of different authors and a lot of different people, including them. It's this whole pleasure trap, the seeking pleasure, the motivational triad, avoiding pain and conserving energy. That's not the individual person's fault, that this is the way we were designed throughout evolution in order to survive and get our calories. So of course, sugar, salt, and fat taste great, not your fault, right? And then our culture. I was born into a culture where we went out for Halloween and I got this huge bag full of candy and there was no restrictions, and Halloween candy was breakfast and lunch and dinner for me for like a whole week, right? It was every birthday party, it's cakes and all this processed food. That's our culture. And when you're born into something like that, and you know that your whole childhood, and you're taught by your parents and your family and your friends and everybody else that this is the normal way to eat, is that really your fault that you end up developing unhealthy eating habits? Not really, right? The food industry, of course, they market to us. And it's a huge, huge issue that they really don't care about the health of America. It's a business. They just want to sell their product. Our government policies are not aligned with good health, subsidizing wheat and corn and soy instead of subsidizing apples. An apple a day keeps a doctor away. What about vegetables, beans? We really need to make those healthy foods almost free for people in order to get them to eat more. And then, of course, what disappointed me the most out of this realization was our healthcare system. Why the heck was our healthcare system not stepping up and doing this? Because the science is absolutely clear. It's profound. We can annihilate these diseases. Why aren't we doing more? And again, it comes up, all these things is what makes America sick. And it's not the fault of the American people on the individual level, but you know what? Once you know this stuff and once you've learned it, then it does kind of become your fault if you don't actively make a change. What we need to do is change our system so that the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and our healthcare industry stops profiting from suffering and illness of people and starts profiting from good health and prevention. And there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. By 2030, Medicare is supposed to be paying all doctors and hospitals for quality only, not quantity. So I hope that ends up shifting the whole mindset of healthcare systems and doctors more towards prevention. We'll see how it goes. But culture and money, that's what it is. We've chosen these two things over health, and it's so sad. What we really need is a paradigm shift away from pills and towards plants, away from just throwing prescriptions at people and doing surgeries, and more towards prevention. Because right now with this acute care model that we have, you get 15 minutes to see your doc frequently. And you only see the doctor. You don't see a nutritionist or a psychologist or anybody else. We don't get paid for prevention. Many surveys show preventative medicine doctors are dead last in salary in regards to physicians in the United States. So of course, lifestyle is not adequately discussed. Western medicine is, here's the pills and the procedures you need first. Oh, good luck eating healthy, losing weight. And that's why I love lifestyle medicine. Lifestyle medicine is the opposite. It's let's focus on the diet and the lifestyle first. And if we have no choice, then we do have medications that we could fall back on and procedures we can fall back on. But the primary treatment in lifestyle medicine is eating healthy, exercising, losing weight, stress reduction, sleeping good, avoiding alcohol, all those things. So in a new system, you need a long appointment with an integrative approach, getting paid to keep patients healthy instead of for seeing more patients, and focus on lifestyle. That's really what we need to do, because more studies after studies after studies are simply showing that putting stents in coronary arteries do not make people live longer, doesn't prevent heart attacks. And there are complications with these things too, right? So this is a big trial called the ischemia trial, where they took people who had blockages that affected a moderate to sometimes large portion of their heart muscle. They randomized them to getting a stent put in versus medical therapy. There was no difference in death long-term after 5 years. And if anything, there was a trend towards conservative management with medications and diet and lifestyle being superior to putting a stent in. A stent doesn't treat the cause of the problem. And so when I thought about this, I was sending so many people for these procedures left and right. That's the way I was trained. When you really look at it, so coronary stents, about 1.2 million per year. About 1% of people die during that procedure. So when you do the math, that's like 12,000 people you just killed putting stents in, right? And then what about like other complications, not just death? Well, actually the stents can induce heart attacks sometimes, about 4% risk of actually causing a heart attack during the stent procedure. That's 48,000 heart attacks caused every year by stent placement. Then you go through bypass surgery. Think about bypass surgery, sawing the chest open, taking veins out of the legs. What a huge, extensive procedure. At 3% mortality, that's about 15,000 deaths per year from complications of bypass surgery, not to mention 15,000 strokes, which are devastating. So what about complications of lifestyle medicine, a lifestyle medicine approach? Guess what? Nobody dies from that, right? Nobody dies from eating fruits and vegetables, beans, lentils, whole grains. It doesn't cause a stroke, doesn't cause a heart attack, just the opposite. It helps to prevent it. It's cheap. It works. We need to make our system promote this and have it happen for every patient that needs it. So that's the whole state of our healthcare system. We know the solution is just making the change happen is the key, getting the message out there, getting the money in the right place. And I have some hope that through conferences like these and other advocates that we're going to make that change. It's been a long road, but I hope we're getting there.